Hello, boys and girls. Greg from the Scary Spirits podcast here to make you another cocktail. Our cocktail this week is called the Car Crash Cocktail. We're going to start with a Collins glass. A couple ice cubes in it. To that, we're going to add 1 ounce amaretto almond liqueur, or as I call it, Di Serono. One of my favorites. Next, 1 ounce peach liqueur, or peach schnapps. Guess peach schnapps has a little more alcohol, so yeah, whatever, that's fine. Next, fill the glass halfway with sweet and sour mix. Top the rest of it off with orange juice. Then we add a dash of grenadine. Dash. There you have it, boys and girls. The Car Crash Cocktail. Not sure where it gets its name. Pretty good though. Yeah. A little tart. It's pretty good. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the podcast. See ya.
Most of us are conditioned to expect a bright, warm light to greet us when we finish our lives here on Earth. But what if you go around spouting off that you only play the organ in church for the dollar bills? Should you worry? This week on the Scary Spirits podcast, we discuss the artsy cult classic film Carnival of Souls, where we meet just such an organist, Mary Henry. Unfortunately, instead of a warm, welcoming light, Mary is continually haunted by ghouls. Not exactly the warm reception one would hope for. But is it all real? Or is it just a ghoulish fantasy? Cheers!
Welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast. Please be advised that the presenters may use adult language and or discuss adult situations. This podcast is not intended for younger listeners or those that may be easily offended. So, if you're ready, let's go.
Hi, I'm Greg.
Hey, I'm Karen.
And welcome to the Scary Spirits podcast, the podcast that combines the two very different but highly compatible worlds of scary films and alcoholic spirits.
What could possibly go wrong?
Indeed. How are you, Karen?
I'm fantastic. How are you, Greg?
Getting better. Thanks for asking.
It's what we do. Getting better. Oh, over your sickness. Or because you're seeing me now. It's your sickness. It's your sickness, isn't it? It's okay. You can say it.
Choose whichever one you want. I'll let the listener decide.
I think the listener knows.
So, Karen, I believe this film was your choice. Is there anything we need to cover before we start?
Well, yeah.
Yeah?
Aren't we choosing winners today?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have to choose winners, don't we?
Yeah, I thought we were.
Okay.
Are you ready to do that?
I am, Karen. Are you?
I can't wait. From our big contest, we had a contest where we asked you to send us an email with your name and contest in the subject line. And Greg has put all the names into a skull he's holding up. A half skull, really.
Yes. No jaw.
Empty brain.
So I
And
thought, Karen, I would pull one, each name out and hold it up to the camera and you can read.
Oh, Lord.
The
Are we
name.
going backwards? Are we going third, second,
No, because
first?
I thought about doing that, but I don't think that's fair.
Why?
Because then not everyone is eligible for the grand prize, Karen. Right?
I guess not.
Yes.
Okay.
If you pull the third place one first, then that person
Oh, I
can't
got you.
win, right?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so let's go first.
I didn't think that was fair.
I agree. That's why you're the brains of the operation.
You ready?
Okay, our first place winner of $100
$100 gift card
from Amazon.
Yeah.
Did you make it tiny?
Well, yeah, I did.
Jeremy Amick. Jeremy, you won $100 to Amazon.
$100 gift card.
You can watch all the movies with us from now on, because I'm sure that's what you'll spend it on.
Yeah. Yes. Congratulations, Jeremy.
Okay, second place, Target gift card.
Target gift card. Ready?
Yep. Denise Croy. Yay, $25 for Denise.
$25 for Denise. Actually, I believe you said 50, Karen.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. It is. Yay, Denise, a $50 card to Target.
Are we going to do a third place?
Yeah,
or
let's do.
Scary Spirits prize pack, maybe?
Ooh.
Chosen especially.
That's probably the best one. Who gets that one?
Let's see.
Courtney Patton Amick.
Congratulations.
It's Courtney.
We'll come up with something chosen especially for her.
Awesome.
Congratulations to all our winners. We will be in touch and get your mailing addresses and send your prizes out post haste.
I think everyone who entered should get something. Let's send them a sticker.
Okay. I will be in touch with everyone who entered.
More work for Greg.
We will send you a sticker or two.
Thanks to everyone who entered. It was fun.
Yes, thank you. All right, Karen, I believe this film was your choice. Was it not?
It was.
And what film have you chosen for us this week, Karen?
I chose the 1962 film Carnival of Souls.
Carnival of Souls, you say, from 1962, Karen.
That's correct, Greg.
Do you remember 1962, Karen?
No. One of these days, when you ask me if I remember 1932, I'm going to say, yeah, it was a fantastic year or something.
Any reason why you chose this film, Karen?
Not really, but I was, as I like to do, I kind of surf the net and look for interesting films from long ago. And this one influenced quite a few later on. So I thought it'd be a good one to have in our library that we've seen.
Yes, I agree, Karen. Do you have a cocktail?
I do. It's called the Car Crash Cocktail, and it is from Cocktail Builder.
Okay.
Want to know how to make it?
Absolutely.
You're going to need 1 ounce of amaretto almond liqueur, 7 ounces of sweet and sour mix, 7 ounces of orange juice, a dash of grenadine syrup, and 1 ounce of peach liqueur. Pour the peach liqueur and amaretto almond liqueur into a Collins glass over 1 or 2 ice cubes. Fill the glass with half sweet and sour mix and half orange juice. Top with grenadine and serve. To be honest, I halved it.
I did not.
I thought that would be a lot of...
Well, it says 7 ounces of sweet and sour and 7 ounces of orange juice. Well,
I don't think I used quite that much, but it wasn't far off.
No, I just filled half of a cup with sweet and sour mix and half with orange juice and dumped it in. So I know that because there's 8 ounces in a cup, so I knew I'd be close, halving it.
Okay.
Let's give the listener time to make their drink.
It's pretty tart.
I have more ice in mine than a cube or 2.
Okay, so the recipe said a cube or 2, and you just totally ignored it.
Yep.
The recipe said a Collins glass, right?
Yep.
And you totally ignored that too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
You do you on this podcast, and I did that.
All right, well, let's give our listener time to make their own. Hold on. And we're back.
Yes, we are.
All right, Karen, might you have a brief synopsis for this film from 1962?
I do.
Go on. Tell me a story.
Mary Henry ends up the sole survivor of a fatal car accident through mysterious circumstances. Trying to put the incident behind her, she moves to Utah and takes a job as a church organist. But her fresh start is interrupted by visions of a fiendish man. As the visions begin to occur more frequently, Mary finds herself drawn to the deserted carnival on the outskirts of town. The strangely alluring carnival may hold the secret to her tragic past.
We are a match, Karen.
I actually got through that one. Yay, we're a match.
All right, thank you for that brief synopsis. Are you ready to get into the film now, Karen?
Let's do it.
First of all, Karen, where did you watch this film?
I watched this on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
And it was free.
Okay. I watched it on the Horror Classics 50 Movie DVD Anniversary Edition collection.
Awesome.
I did pay for it, but I got 15 movies for like whatever, $15.
Yeah, you paid less. Well, not less than free, but the 50 that you got.
Well, it's free because you remember Amazon Prime and you pay like $15 a month for that shit, right?
That's true. Nothing's free.
Was yours in color or black and white?
It was in black and white.
Okay, cool. So was mine. Did any warnings or anything pop up on Amazon Prime? Because I know that sometimes pops up. Like,
yeah, it did. And it's interesting because the first thing you see is rated 13 plus. And I've never seen this before. It said for frightening scenes, alcohol use, smoking, and violence. But frightening scenes was a new one. I'd not seen that before.
Yeah, when I started, it just started going. I mean, there was nothing, right? It goes right into the movie, right?
Yes.
One of those that you have like a scene before the credits.
Yes, it did that. Yes.
So the movie opens and we have guys smoking a Marlboro, challenging a bunch of girls to a drag race.
Yes, they're at a stoplight.
Yeah, and the female driver of the car is smoking a Marlboro too, Karen.
Yes, they show that multiple times.
We got 2 smokers already. And then we cut to scenes where we're racing down country roads and
they agree to the drag race.
They pass a sign that says road under construction, travel at own risk. And they end up on a bridge, racing down the bridge.
Okay, before we go any further, already I'm going to interrupt you because I was curious about this right from the start. It seemed odd to me that girls would go, yes, we're going to drag race because it's usually boys, I thought. So I looked it up. Okay. And from the Injury Prevention Journal, that high class information.
Let me make a note of that.
And this is quite a few years old. I think it's the late 90s, but it's the only numbers I could find. What percentage of high school boys do you think admit to drag racing?
What year did you say it's from?
Probably late 90s.
So they were asking boys during the late 90s, how many of them admitted to drag racing?
Yes. On public roadways.
I'm going to say 40%.
It's 59%.
They're lying.
I know. And what percentage of girls do you think admitted to it?
25.
36, which was higher than I
I
thought.
almost said 30. I was going to say 30, but
because I don't think I've ever been in a car where a girl is driving, and because when the girl's driving in the movies,
you haven't ever been in a stoplight and looked over at the person next to you and they look at you, and you've never done that, had that little thing where even if it's another girl, that'd be even hotter.
I've never had a car. I drove a Chevette. I couldn't take anybody in a drag race. The study showed there's not a lot of fatalities that involve street racing like this when this study was done. And the street racers who usually were involved in the fatal crashes tended to be male teenagers with poor driving histories. No surprise there. And the fatal crashes generally happen when speeds are greater than 65 miles per hour. So you really got to get going on a residential street. Of course, there's usually crashes when there's impaired driving. It just struck me as kind of funny that the girl piped up, yeah, I'm going to show him. I'll show him how to drive. I can do this through the whole thing. Although they looked like they were going about 20 miles an hour through the whole thing. But yes, they end up on a bridge.
Yes. And did you happen to notice what kind of car the girls were driving, Karen?
No, I didn't.
It was a 1949 Chevy Fleetline Deluxe. Any idea what one of those goes for new, Karen? 1949.
Is that when this was supposed to take place? In the 50s?
Don't know.
Couldn't really tell.
I think it takes place in the 60s when it's filmed.
So this is, if I was going to buy it in 1949.
Yep. How much would you pay for that car in 1949?
$2,100.
$1,539, brand new, Karen.
Mine's equipped.
Well, okay. That is the equipped version.
Okay.
You could pay as little as $1,200 for the base model.
Dang it.
What do you think one of those goes for today, Karen? I'm not going to ask you for the average or the high. I'm just going to let you give a price out, and I will say, oh, you're so close to the high.
$12,000.
Oh, you're so close to the high, Karen. So you're $500 off the high.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. The high value is $11,500.
Oh, I went over though.
You went over.
Price is Right would send me home.
What'd you think of the car the boys were driving, Karen?
That one looked older to me, wasn't it?
It did look older, didn't it? That is a 1935 vehicle, Karen.
Should just get points because I knew it was older.
A Chevy EA Master Deluxe.
Oh, the Master Deluxe.
Yes. What did one of those go for? Brand new in 1935.
$999.
You're a little high, Karen. $635, brand new. And today, Karen, what would you pay for a 1935 Chevy EA Master Deluxe?
$9,500.
It's not bad. You're actually like right in between the average and the high.
I'm getting
average
better.
Is $7,500. The high is $14,300.
You should give me that one.
So you pretty much split the difference. So they are driving down the bridge, right, Karen?
Yes, side by side.
And it looked to me like the car with the guys in it were like trying to knock the girls off the fucking bridge to me. That's what it looked like.
They bumped them for sure.
And the next thing we see is the girl's car plunging into the water, right?
Yep, the river. And it sinks fast.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't float at all.
Nope. We had their windows open. That didn't help. And then we have credits, Karen.
Yes, the title of the movie's first, isn't it?
Yeah. Then we have credits.
I'm saying nobody's above the title. There was no actor above the title.
Correct. After the credits, Karen, we see the townspeople searching for the car. They're dragging the river.
Yes, they're in like small rowboats and throwing their anchors in and pulling them across the river before sonar.
And the police question the boys, and they lie, Karen. They lie like dogs.
Oh, I didn't see that. What did they say?
The boy said, well, we were just driving down the bridge, and then these girls came up and came up on us and acted like they wanted to pass us. I guess they just lost control.
I didn't see that.
That's what they said.
Liars.
Liars. It was the one guy, the guy wearing the hat, the guy that passenger in the vehicle, right?
Yeah, the one that egged him on.
Right. Next, we see a bunch of townspeople running across the bridge, and they seem to be pointing at something down below. And we see a girl coming out of the water onto a muddy bank.
Yes, she has wet clothes and dry hair. It was damp, but if she had just come out of the water, her hair would be sopping wet. It was not.
That is true. I didn't notice that, but now that you mention it. And we learn her name is Mary Henry. They call her that, and they put a blanket around her, and she doesn't remember what happened, and they're going to take her into town, Karen.
Yes, they know her. So it must be a small town that she's in, because as soon as she's out of the water, everybody knows who she is.
In your version, did you see what looked like a car under the water as they were cutting scenes?
I didn't see it.
I did, because I wrote car ? Can't find the fucking car. It's right there.
There it is.
Next we cut, I guess it's probably the next day or whatever, and we see Mary. She's back at the bridge, and she's looking over, watching the men still drag the river for the car. Next, we cut to a scene and see Mary playing a church organ.
Yeah, where do you think she is?
I think she's in the manufacturing.
Of organs?
Yes.
Ah, okay. I couldn't figure it out.
And we have a montage of people hearing the music, and they all seem to like it, Karen.
Yeah.
But it's a huge pipe organ.
That's what I wrote. She is dwarfed by this thing.
It is huge. And we learn that Mary's going to Utah to be a church organist. And she does say it's just a job. She doesn't really care that it's at a church. She could care less whether it's at a church or anywhere else. She went to college to study to be an organist, and that's what she's going to do.
So it's a pipe organ, right?
It is.
Okay, you want to know about pipe organs? I have a couple questions for you.
I would love to know about pipe organs, Karen.
The pipe organ is a musical instrument, for those of you who don't know.
Hell, you say.
That produces sound by driving pressurized air through the organ pipes selected from a keyboard. Because each pipe produces a single pitch, the pipes are provided in sets called ranks, each of which has a common timbre and volume throughout the keyboard compass. Most organs have many ranks of pipe of differing timbre, pitch, and volume that the player can employ singly or in combination through the use of controls called stops. A pipe organ has one or more keyboards called manuals played by the hands and a pedal clavier played by the feet. Each keyboard controls its own division, a group of stops. The largest pipe organ, how many pipes do you think it has?
The largest one.
Yeah. And this is from Wikipedia, so I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm going to make Greg guess anyway.
Hang on, I'm going to do some math here.
You can guess the number of pipes. I won't make you guess the number of manuals, which are the keyboards.
Karen, I'm going to be conservative.
How shocking.
I have a feeling this is going to be way low, but I'm going to say 220.
Yeah, it's way low. The largest may have over 33,000 pipes and 7 manuals.
That's what I thought.
And I'll tell you one more thing. The oldest playable pipe organ, with 12 of its pipes dating from around 1435, is located in the Basilica of Valère in Switzerland. It's not a huge one. It's got maybe 3 dozen, it looks like, something like that. It looks like it takes some skill to play a pipe organ. Your feet are going, your hands are going. I mean, you're a musician, you would know better.
Yeah, I just did more math, and my next answer would have been 11,000, so I was still off.
But still, it's impressive. And it's interesting that they play it in churches, because that music is creepy, but it still reminds me of church. But it's played in a lot of haunted houses.
Well,
and, Okay, anyway, yes, she's a professional organ player and doesn't care where she plays. It's just a job.
Yes, and she does say she doesn't have time to see her parents before she leaves. She's heading right to Utah. And
I think she's in Kansas. I'm pretty sure.
She is in Kansas.
And she says she's never coming back. because the man at the factory says, when you come back in town, make sure you say hello. She says, I'm never coming back here.
Yeah, she does. And he also asks her to put her soul into it when she's
Yes,
playing.
they do use the word soul many times in the movie.
So she leaves, and that man and another man start talking about Mary. They think she's behaving strangely. They kind of give her benefit of the doubt because she did just survive a near fatal accident.
But the one guy thinks she should be more grateful that she survived. She does seem a little cold.
Grateful. Why should she feel grateful?
Well, not everyone's like you, Greg, who thinks, of course, I'm the one who's going to survive. I'm the most important one.
Okay. Next, we see Mary in her car, and she's on the bridge again. She stops for a moment and keeps on driving.
For dramatic effect, I wrote. Yeah.
She turns on the radio and listens to some traveling music, I wrote, Karen.
Some happy music on a little radio that is it AM or FM?
It is AM.
And it goes from 7 to like 15 or something like that.
55 or 50 to 15, something like that.
Not a lot to choose from.
Next, she's driving along. Eventually, she comes to a sign that says, "Welcome to Utah."
There's a driving montage. It lets you know that she's driving for a long time. And it starts to get dark.
Drive carefully.
She does the thing in the car that drives me crazy in the movies where they're holding on to the steering wheel and they're moving it back and forth. You can't see me doing it. I know that, but it's moving a good, what do you think, 3 or 4 inches to the side. So your car would be swerving constantly if you were doing it.
Not necessarily a
maybe not. Okay.
50s vehicle, which didn't have the greatest power steering, Karen.
But so there was that much give in those steering wheels? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I stand corrected then, but it just looks funny. They're going straight, but their hands are moving back and forth on the steering wheel. There's a lot of eyeball acting right here too.
So yeah, it gets dark. She turns on her lights. Then she tries to change the radio station on the AM radio, Karen, but the song keeps playing. The same song, same organ music keeps playing. Next, I wrote, there's a nice shot of her and her reflection in the car.
Yes, in the window.
But then her reflection changes, Karen, to a creepy looking dude.
Yep.
You know who that creepy looking dude is, Karen?
In real life or in the movie?
In real life.
No, I do not know.
He's the director of the film.
Awesome.
Yes, that would be Herc Harvey. Actually, the producer as well. Producer and directed.
She doesn't seem that freaked out by it. I think I would be a lot more freaked out. I might stop the car. I don't know. She just kept going.
Well, she turns away and it goes away. You know, it's like one of those things. Did I really see that? Or
I guess, yeah.
You know, but when she sees it, she accelerates, Karen.
She does.
She punches it. And then she sees the man in front of her in the road.
Yeah, I thought it was a different guy, but it's not. It's the same guy.
Same dude. She swerves to miss him and her car goes off the road.
She's basically in a ditch.
After some trying, she gets her car back started up and she backs up onto the road. Keep showing this building in the distance, Karen, and I wasn't sure what the hell it was. I wrote, is that the freaking church? That's a huge freaking church if that's where she's going to play.
Yeah, I just said sees a building in the distance and stops at the gas station.
Yeah, so she stops at a gas station. She tells the serviceman to fill it up, Karen.
Yeah,
remember doing that, Karen? Telling the serviceman to fill it up?
I remember being with my parents in the car when they would do that. I don't think I ever did that.
I don't think I ever did either.
But yes, and they would have the coin change on their belt and they would wash the windows while they were filling
Check your oil, ma'am. So she gets out of the car while the guy's filling her tank up and she walks over and checks the passenger side window. Then the service station attendant comes around and she asks him about the building she was driving past in the distance. And he said it's the old bathhouse, but it was converted to a carnival.
Well, then it was a dance hall and then a carnival.
Yep.
But now it's empty.
Next, she asks the man for directions to the address where apparently she is going to stay.
See, that's the other thing. Gas station attendants always knew where things were, too. I do remember stopping and asking for directions at the gas station.
I don't, Karen.
Well, men never ask for directions, Craig.
That's what paper maps are for. So next we see her checking out her room she's rented. Landlady showing her the room. Seems like a nice place.
I agree. I thought it was nice.
So Mary starts unpacking and she sees that same man in her bedroom window. She goes to investigate and then just sees her own reflection.
But she doesn't lock the window.
It's already closed, isn't it?
No, the drapes were blowing. Did you see Mrs. Thomas? That's the landlady holding the bottle of the can of Ajax. I wondered if it was
Karen.
I wondered if it was product placement.
I saw the Prestone ads at the gas station as well.
Yes, it does seem like there's product placement in this, but I don't know if it's true. Anyway, I would have locked
it is. It's a small independent film, so I don't know.
Right. I would have locked the damn window.
Well, you're used to being in a 78-degree house, Karen.
I meant because the guy was standing there.
She walked up and looked in the window and saw her own reflection.
I
She
still
probably
would
just
have
thought,
locked it.
well, it was just my own reflection, and it looked.
I don't
weird
care
because
what
of
it was.
The
I would have locked the
sheer
window.
Curtains.
I'm just going to give people advice. If you think you see someone standing in your window, lock the damn window.
Next day, Karen, I think we're at church. The preacher shows her to the organ, Karen.
Yeah, it's a big deal for them. I think it's a new organ. They're proud of it.
But Mary tells the preacher that she really doesn't want to, meet and hang with members of the congregation. She just wants to play her organ.
Yeah, the priest wants to have a reception to introduce her to the congregation. And she's not interested in that. And he does let it go. He said, okay, maybe not now. But you cannot live in isolation from the human race, he says.
Correct. But she starts playing, and the preacher seems quite pleased, Karen, with her playing.
I agree.
And we have a montage of people happily listening to her.
Yes, and the priest says, we have an organist capable of stirring the soul. So there's the word again. And she's a good organ player. She's got that shit down.
She is. She's pretty good.
Then we have a good church montage.
Yes. Lots of stained glass windows. And then we see the man that she keeps seeing.
The creepy guy, yes.
He enters the church. But that's all we see of him.
Yeah, but she stops playing abruptly. So I don't know if that means she saw him or what happened.
I don't know. She's looking at stained glass windows, and the preacher comes up to talk to her and says he's going to go out by the lake. He asks Mary if she wants to come with him. She said she would, and she would like to stop and look at that building she passed on the way in.
The old pavilion.
Yeah, she would like to go in and take a look. So they get there, and she tries to get the preacher to take her in, and he says, no, it's not safe. And plus, it's against the law, Karen. It wouldn't look good. A man of the cloth in there breaking the law.
Yeah, the law has placed it off limits.
And the man Mary has been seeing is in the building looking out the window as Mary and the preacher leave.
Yes, they drive away and they are watched.
Mary back at home. She's going to take a bath, Karen.
She's forgotten dinner. And so Mrs. Thomas says she'll bring it up.
So she goes up to take a bath.
Draws a bath. I said toes, no boobs.
No boobs. While she's in the bathtub, she hears someone knocking at her door. Assuming it's the landlady, she says, come in.
Yeah, she assumes it's Mrs. Thomas.
But it ain't her.
Nope.
So it's her neighbor. The door's chained, so he can't get in anyway.
It's John Linden.
Yes. But he peeks at her as she puts on her house coat, Karen, through the crack in the door.
He's a peeper. And he's just yuck.
Didn't like John Linden.
A little pushy, a little douchey, He looked younger than her to me too. But I don't know.
But he asked her to go to dinner. He said he couldn't help it over here, that she hadn't had dinner. But she refuses. She said that, landlady, whatever her name is, Mrs. Thomas, is going to bring her up some sandwiches.
Yes. And she literally pushes him out of her room. He's pushy. He's like, well, you got to eat. Yeah, he's slimy. yucky.
She goes out to the hall and she sees the creepy dude again downstairs. She runs back in her room and we hear footsteps outside her door. She puts the chain on the door and the landlady tries to get in. It's the landlady, Karen, bringing her sandwiches. Mary asked her about the man and she says there is no other man. There's just her and her neighbor and that's it. And the landlady.
Yes, she said it must be Mr. Linden.
And now the landlady is spooked too.
Well, and she says it must be the house. The house creaks and it's an old house, she says.
Did you notice the transom above the door, Karen?
I do love a good transom.
Next, we see Mary lying in bed. The landlady says, here's coffee. Don't drink it if it keeps you up. And she says, no, it never keeps her up. Then the next thing we see is Mary lying in bed, wide awake.
Wide awake. Her eyes are like wide. So the coffee kept her up or she's afraid.
Or she cannot sleep anymore. But it's storming outside. Karen, she gets up and looks out the window.
Towards the old building. Can she see it from her window?
I don't know.
I
don't know, but we seem to zoom in on it from her window.
Yes, because then we get a building montage.
Next, Karen, the Big Ben alarm clock goes off.
Yep.
Did you have a Big Ben alarm clock, Karen, or did your parents?
Somebody must have.
My mom and dad did. That's how I knew it was a Big Ben alarm clock.
The kind
goes off
with the bell that you had to wind, not the digital kind.
7:15, Karen.
Not the beep, beep, beep. It was the ringing kind.
Next, neighbors knocking at her door again.
Yep.
Mr. Linden, he brings her coffee and she invites him in, Karen.
Yeah, she's very sociable all of a sudden.
She is. She's very friendly. I think she's
opposite.
sending mixed signals, Karen.
I agree. She's bipolar, I think.
But he Irishes up his coffee.
Yes, he does. But she doesn't. She refuses.
No, he offers and she refuses.
And she says it's not appropriate for a church organist. And again, she says church is just a place of business.
It is. And he seems to be even appalled at it. Everyone seems appalled when she says that shit.
Yes. And he's not exactly on the moral high ground.
No. And then she talks about the differences between day and night and says she wishes there were no more nights.
Yes, in the daylight, everything changes. Everything falls back into place, she says.
But her neighbor wants to make them more interesting for her, Karen.
Yeah, he creeps on her again. But she tells him she learned the organ playing in college. He talks himself up about how he could play football, but he didn't like all that learning that you had to do in college. And he only cared about girls.
But she seems much more receptive to him here. She doesn't push him out or anything. And she's wearing her fucking house coat again.
Yeah,
right?
They banter,
And she sits right next to him on the couch. And
yeah, I agree.
Whatever. But Mr. Linden says he is not an alcoholic as he Irishes up his coffee some more.
He just wants to be happy, he says.
To start the day off happy before he goes to work at the warehouse.
Do you ever start your day off happy?
Only when I'm sick, Karen.
Oh, with a good hot toddy.
The good hot toddy. I had one this morning. Just one. She shows him out. They've drank their coffee. And what I wrote, I think they have made a love connection. That's what I wrote. That's the feeling I was getting from her.
Yeah.
As she closed the door and she put her head back against the door, oh, he's so dreamy or whatever. Didn't you get that?
No, I didn't. I don't know. It was weird. I guess I just really didn't like him. I think she was just feeling, okay, it's daytime. Things seem back to normal. The neighbor's creeping on me. Everything's back to the way it was before nighttime came and scared her.
Hello, boys and girls. Doing a podcast can be thirsty work. Lucky for you, we have all our drink recipes on our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want to see how each drink is made, hit up our YouTube channel, Scary Spirits Podcast, and watch me play bartender. I show you how to make every themed drink. Now, back to the show. All right, next we see Mary at an apartment store, and she's trying on dresses. And
she has a free day to go shopping, yes, so she's getting some new clothes.
And there are lots of bongs, Karen. Remember hearing those in department stores? What was
Oh,
all
yeah,
that
yeah,
shit
yeah.
about? Do you
I
know
don't
what that
know.
shit's all about?
No, I never worked
You'd
retail.
always hear bing or boom, boom. I don't know what it meant, but I remember hearing it.
I do too.
So she's back in the dressing room, changing back into her clothes, and everything
She's-
goes fuzzy for a minute, Karen.
Things get wavy, I said. She's got a pretty slip on, I said.
She's a
Nice.
good looking girl.
She is. All the girls in the car actually were quite pretty, I thought.
Oh.
You can't say no.
Well, she was.
It's my opinion.
Mary puts her dress back on. Then I wrote, how does she zip herself up, Karen? How in the hell did she accomplish that?
Skill, Greg.
I'll see her like lifting her arm over to like pull it all the way up. How the hell does that work, Karen?
Skill. It's one of those skills we don't tell you about.
All right. I'm going to get it out of you. You've already told me that women dress for women. So I learned that last week. I'm going to learn all your secrets.
Good luck. There's so many.
So next, she kind of struggles to get out of her dressing room. The door's kind of locked, jammed for a minute there. And she tries to tell the sales lady she wants to buy the damn dress, but no one seems to see or hear her, Karen. She's invisible.
Yeah, at first I thought the saleswoman was ignoring her, but then she can't hear them talk. Like it's silent. She can't hear anything. They aren't answering her. There's just no sound. She wants the dresses delivered. No one's paying attention. She can't get anyone to pay attention to her.
Nope. So she walks out of the store. And when she gets outside, still nothing makes a sound. There's men jackhammering.
They're jackhammering in the street and she can't hear it. But then it looks like she goes to a park.
Yeah, and I think we see the church behind her. If you look through the trees, that church where the organ player is behind her. And she starts to begin to hear the birds, and slowly all the other sounds come back.
She hears birds in traffic.
Next, she's taking a drink at a water fountain, Karen.
She's very relieved. You know, whatever stroke or aneurysm that she had is cleared and she can hear and people can see her again.
She's getting a drink at a water fountain and a man startles her. She thinks it's the creepy man.
It's not, though.
But it's not.
It's just a regular man.
She runs away and runs into another man who just happens to be a doctor, Karen.
Dr. Samuels.
He offers to help her. He says, my office is right across the street.
How convenient.
Can we go now? Yes, let's go now. So he takes her across the street to his office. Next, we see her talking to the doctor. She explains that for a while it seemed like she did not exist. They talk about the creepy man. Doctor explains that he and the other man in the park did not see anyone else.
I think she tells him her whole story, that she just survived this traumatic incident because he keeps saying she had a serious emotional shock. So she lays it out for him, tells him what happened, and then with the car crash, and then explained seeing the creepy man a couple times, and then what happened in the department store.
Yes, and he tries to convince her it's all in her imagination and that she is recovering from a serious accident and shock. So she's under a lot of stress. And then she explains that she does not want to be close to other people, to the doctor.
Yes.
And he asked if she'd always felt that way. And she says she doesn't remember. Like she never ever wanted a boyfriend. She can't remember ever wanting a boyfriend.
Preach, sister. So the doctor says that the man represents a guilt feeling that, you know, because she's the only one who survived, he's trying to psychoanalyze, but I don't think he's a psychiatrist.
I kind of thought he was, or psychologist. But she thinks if maybe she goes to that pavilion, that building or whatever it is, that she will be okay and her imagination will no longer play tricks on her.
Yes, if she just goes there, it'll stop all the issues. I don't know why she thinks that, but that's her solution, and that's what she's going to do.
Next, we see Mary driving out to the pavilion. She gets there, and I make a note that it's nice, dark carnival music playing.
Agreed.
Next, we see Mary exploring the old carnival.
We need to insert some Judas Priest here, but they won't let us because she breaks the law and walks right past the gate and the fence because the priest wouldn't do it because it would be breaking the law. But Mary has no problem with that. And she goes through a tunnel into the building. things start moving
Well, it's one of
around
those
her.
circular things. When it was in
Yeah.
operation, it would have been spinning, right?
But things start to move around her
Yeah,
in there.
she gets to a slide and a mattress comes sliding down the slide.
And then it looked like huge bowling ball pins or something knocked together behind her. I don't know. But creepy things are going on, and it's dark.
She keeps exploring, and eventually we see the creepy man underwater. She doesn't see him. She like throws something into the water, and we cut to a shot of the creepy man underwater.
She walks through a ballroom, big, beautiful room with chandeliers and everything, looks out at the view. I guess that's the lake, or was the lake. I can't tell if the lake's dried up or there. I can't tell. And then because it looks like it's a dried up lake, but then the man's underwater. So I don't know, but he's there. Yes. But she leaves.
She does. And then we cut back to her house, and there's Mr. Linden again, meeting her at the door, asking
Trying
her
his
out.
best. Yep.
And
Can
she's
you
very
imagine
cold.
living like that every time you go home? Somebody's waiting for you to creep on you. That would suck.
Are you saying I don't know what that feels like, Karen?
I'm saying well, I'm not going to say I don't, but I don't know. I would just think that would be unfortunate.
But she's very cold at first, but she does agree to let him like pick her up that evening after she's finished practicing her organ at the church, Karen.
Yes, because she realizes it's going to be dark, and he says, "You don't want to walk home alone, do you?" And she realizes, no, I don't. So she asks him to meet her and walk her home. She says she'll be done around 9, and he's happy.
Next, we see Mary practicing at the church. But at one point, she stops playing sacred music and starts playing secular music, Karen.
Is that what it was? I couldn't tell.
She starts playing dark carnival music, I wrote.
Well, she starts looking at her hands like she can't control what's being played anymore.
Correct.
And she sees a stained glass window that says, "Cast out devils." And she looks woozy. It does that wavy thing again, and she can't control her hands or her feet.
There's a shot of a Lugosi moon. Is that what you call it, Karen? Lugosi moon?
We call it a vampire moon. Yeah. There's a full moon with lots of clouds around it. And she starts thinking of the pavilion, and then
see the man underwater again, dancing at the dance hall.
He opens his eyes, which was pretty cool. He's underwater because when she left him previously, his eyes were closed. And now he's laying there underwater, and he opens his eyes. And it looks like there's other people coming out of the water also.
There are other people. And like first I thought that maybe they were the girls she was in an accident with, but I couldn't really tell because I didn't really get a good look at them all.
And I'm like, is she seeing this in her mind? I couldn't figure out what's happening here.
But the man starts coming towards her like he's going to strangle her. And then cut to the preachers putting his hands on her hands and stopping her from playing.
But before she does that, she sees all the people dancing at an accelerated speed in the ballroom.
Real quick.
Yeah. While she plays the organ. And they're all pale with dark eyes. They kind of look like ghouls or something, for lack of a better term, right?
That's exactly what I called them.
And they're dancing around. And I mean, I guess it's in her head, like she's having a vision or a hallucination or something. The man is coming towards her, and it looks like he's going to grab her, but somebody and you see hands on top of her hands, but it's not the ghoul. It's the priest, like you said, or the preacher. And he ain't happy.
Yeah, he calls her playing profane.
And sacrilege.
He asks her to resign.
Have you no respect for the church? He says she lacks a soul. I don't know what the heck she was playing. Did you recognize the song, Greg?
No, it's just dark carnival music.
Well, you don't have a soul.
The feeling I got.
I thought, you being the soulless person you are might recognize it. No?
I did not, Karen. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll try to do better next time.
Yes. Please learn the appropriate music for your kind.
But the preacher does offer to help her because I was kind of pissed at him. I'm like, you fucking bastard. You're just going to kick her out, ask her to resign.
For one time.
Not going to ask, not going to offer your fucking religious help and try to save her fucking soul, you bastard. But he does offer to help at the end.
Jeez.
Wasn't happy with him.
She was shocked that she's fired. So she's fired. For one, I don't know, whatever this song was must have been horrible. because he doesn't even say, stop playing that kind of music, go back to church music. He just fires her right on the spot. That's why I thought you might know what it was, but
Nope, it's just creepy carnival music. That's all it is. So I was glad the preacher did offer to help. I felt better after that for a second.
good.
Next, we see Mr. Linden waiting outside the church, smoking a Marlboro. And he says, my car is right around the corner. I know exactly where to go.
He takes her to a bar.
Or a restaurant. I didn't know what it was.
Well, it's got a jukebox, I guess. Jukebox and people are dancing.
Yeah.
But they look very uncomfortable together.
Yeah, he's very annoyed with her because she's not drinking, and he spent all that money on that beer for her. And
she won't dance. She's not drinking. Hasn't spoken all evening.
He says, maybe you want to be alone. And she says, no, I don't want to be alone.
She's scared. She's using him. He wants
to be with him. She wants to be with him.
She's using him.
And then he says, let's get out of here. Let's go back home.
He tells her to thaw out first, though.
He does.
And he's all over her when they get home, but she's disinterested again.
Back at Mary's room, he works his way in, but she keeps pushing off his advances. And she sees the man, that creepy dude in the mirror, and screams. And John Linden is like, I'm out of here. I can't deal with this shit. You don't want to get messed up with a girl who's off her rocker. Yeah,
she's hysterical. And pushes the dresser in front of the door, I think. Closes all the windows.
She barricades herself in her room.
Yes.
Next day, I guess the doctor came to visit. See him coming down the stairs. And doctor tells the landlady that Mary refused his help. But she does say she wants to leave the city and get away as soon as possible.
Well, Mrs. Thomas says she can't stay in the house. She doesn't want crazy. They think she's crazy, and she doesn't want a crazy person in the house.
Next, we see Mary packing her bags, and she leaves. The landlady tries to talk to her as she's leaving, but she just ignores her and walks out.
She's like in a trance almost or something. I don't know if she's afraid or what.
Next, Mary's driving her car. Car starts making strange noises, Karen. She pulls into a garage, and the serviceman says, it sounds like the transmission. He asks her to pull it up on the rack. He offers to let her out, but she says she just wants to stay in the car while they look at it. So the service station guy goes out to help another customer with his gas. Because Lord knows no one can pump their old gas.
Not back in the day.
And we see a shadow of a man walking in the garage, Karen.
And we hear footsteps.
And Mary locks herself in, rolls up the windows, and locks herself in her car on the rack. Then the man turns like a knob. It's like, sounds like he's letting gas out or some shit.
I don't know. I thought he was lowering the rack back down.
That could be too. I don't know. He was turning a knob. Looked
like the hydraulics were going down.
Could be. Probably is, because Mary falls out of the car and runs away. And if she was up on the rack, that would have hurt.
Yeah. Did you notice when she was running that the sound did not coordinate with her steps at all?
I could tell they tried.
They tried, but it was not good. She's stopped and there's still footsteps going, or she's going.
Again, she doesn't hear anything. She's not hearing anything. So the only thing we hear is her footsteps on the sidewalk.
Yes.
As she's running or jogging or whatever. And they tried to match it up, but
it was bad. See, I don't usually notice stuff like that, but I noticed. Probably because it was the only sound.
So next, Mary makes it to a bus station and nobody acknowledges her again, Karen.
No, she's very stressed out. She's screaming. She needs help. She needs a ticket.
She does hear from the loudspeaker, eastbound bus now loading, gate 9.
Yes, she does hear that. So she runs to gate 9.
Runs to gate 9, gets on the bus, and it's full of ghouls, Karen.
Yes.
She runs off the bus and down the street. She tries to flag down a car and almost gets run over. I think it's a VW bus, Karen.
Oh, I thought it was a taxi.
And then she tries to get a policeman and a taxi. And
oh, there it is.
Both
Sorry,
of them
yes.
ignore her.
She's begging for help. No one can see her, hear her. Why can't anyone hear me?
Next, she ends up at the park again, Karen.
Which is smart. She's going to go back to where she regained her
hand on that same tree, just like she did earlier.
Yep.
And again, she starts to hear the birds, and then other sounds of the street come in. She goes to see the doctor.
Well, yeah, because his office, as we know, is right across the street.
She says she doesn't belong in the world, Karen. Something separates her from other people.
She doesn't know what's real anymore. She can't fight it anymore.
And the back of the doctor's chair is turned to her the whole time, which it was when she saw him earlier. So they were,
Because he said he excused the back of my chair. I wanted to write this down. So they set it up. So the next time she was there, the chair is turned, but who's in the chair?
Chair turns and it's the creepy dude, Karen. Mary screams and then she wakes up in her car in the service station and she drives away. Mary goes to the building where the carnival was, the pavilion, and we see a bunch of ghouls coming out of the water, male and female. So I know it's not just the girls in the accident with her this time.
Yes, and they all start dancing.
Start dancing. Having a big old time.
Like a waltz or something, I would say. They're dancing in couples together, twirling around.
And Mary sees herself dancing with the creepy dude.
Yep.
Mary screams and runs away. The ghouls chase after her. Mary trips and falls in the sand, Karen, and the ghouls hover over her.
This is kind of the opposite of the warm, come to the light. This is a bunch of ghouls attacking you. This can't be good for your afterlife. It's not like, oh, everyone's waiting for you. Go to the warm light. It's like, run from the ghouls, run from the ghouls.
Next, we see the policeman, preacher, and doctor, and they're looking for Mary at the pavilion. They find her tracks, and apparently she disappeared into thin air. Her tracks end in the sand, Karen.
Yep.
Next, we cut to a scene of men pulling the car from the river. They finally found the fucking car, Karen.
In the same spot, basically.
They pull the car up, and we see that Mary is in the passenger seat of the car, Karen.
All three of the girls are in there.
They're all in there, yeah.
Yeah.
She gone.
But they're all, well, the middle girl blinks. Did you see that?
I thought Mary moved a little.
Maybe, but the middle girl actually blinks. But what's wrong with that picture before you say the end?
I'm going to guess their hair wasn't soaking wet. They weren't decayed any.
Yes.
Or bloated.
Of course, we don't know what her timeline is because could have been the next day. We don't know. But she's been in her fantasy world gone about a week before they pull them out. And they're
maybe maybe, yeah.
They're in perfect condition. So, there
the end.
There would be some fish nibbles and, decay and bloating and discoloration. But yes, the end.
The end, Karen.
Okay, so explain this to me. Is everyone that she's dealing with dead? Or is she somehow...
I don't think so. No, because I think everyone sees her. So that's what I was going to ask you. Is she like in purgatory or something?
I don't know, because I'm trying to figure out, does everyone see her? Like, are these all dead people in the town and everything? And then, right, like if she was in purgatory, she's getting pulled out by the ghouls, but then she disappears sometimes. So she's actually interacting with live people and then something happens and she's not anymore.
Yes. It's the impression I got.
Interesting. Because it's
I know.
It reminded me of The Sixth Sense. You can't really tell. I couldn't tell who's dead, who's not dead. I kind of figured she was the first time when she was in the department store and no one could hear her. Well,
as soon as the car crashed, I figured she was dead.
But you're not supposed to.
Because that's the trope now.
Yes, but this was probably quite a surprise back in the day.
And I guess mainly because she actually interacted with people. Right? In The Sixth Sense, he doesn't really interact with people. It looks like he is, but he really isn't.
You mean the doctor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, but I didn't know if that's what this was. Like, it looks like she's interacting with people, but are they alive or dead? I don't know. I mean, we know the ghouls are dead, but was she getting pulled into the underworld instead of going to the light.
I don't know. Don't know.
Probably overthinking it.
I don't know.
I couldn't figure it out.
She's a good looking girl though, Karen.
Yeah, we went over that already.
Alive. She has her own website. I was looking at her earlier. She sells autographed photos and things, and she actually wrote a book.
Was this the only movie she was in?
I think she was in one other one, but yeah. After that, she married another actor and had kids, and they ended up getting divorced. And she wrote a nasty book about marrying actors. Apparently,
Okay.
she's in her 80s now, and she's selling autographed photos on her website for $21 a piece.
Did you get one?
Not yet.
Mm-hmm. I smell a Christmas present.
You should say that because one of the photos, it's like her in the car when the ghoul dude is in the reflection,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Santa Claus in the reflection. It says "Merry Christmas" in the picture.
Perfect.
She'll sign it for you.
Well, what's her name? You should tell everyone her name. I don't think we ever said the name of the actress.
Candace Hildegoss.
Is it CandaceHildegoss.com? For those of you looking to send Greg a Christmas, for those of you looking to send Greg a Christmas present.
CandaceHildegoss.com. That's exactly what it is. She's 85 or 86. Sorry. She went to school at the University of Iowa. Went to New York City. She had a short modeling career.
She looks like she would have been a model.
They did want to do a remake, and she was offered a part in 1997, but she declined. The book is called The Odyssey in the Idiocy, Marriage to an Actor. Yeah, so she was in Carnival of Souls, The Curse of the Living Corpse, 2 years later, another thing called South of Hell Mountain, which she's uncredited in, and she appeared as herself in a documentary. And she did do a couple television episodes.
So this is a cult classic now, but was it a success at the box office?
So they say it went largely unnoticed by critics. Part of a double feature,
Yeah.
Become regarded by many film schools as a classic. Often praised for its lighting and sound design. The filming and the style of it reminded me a lot of Dementia 13.
I can see that, yeah. It was Hitchcockian too, I thought, a little bit, with the lighting and everything.
Yeah, some scholars consider it more an art film than a horror film.
I can see that too.
I didn't hate it. Anything you really enjoyed in the film, Karen?
I thought the story was interesting. I know it's kind of a trope, like you said, but I think it was one of the original storylines where this happened. I really liked when in the ballroom when they were dancing and she saw herself. I thought that was a cool touch. I thought the ghoul was interesting in that he was scary and creepy, but not overly gory. You knew he was not a good man, like something was off there, but it wasn't so grotesque. He definitely still looked like just a man. I think he got a little worse as you went along, but at first he just looked like a dude that crawled out of a lake. He was pale too, but his eyes got darker and darker as the film went on. And I do think it was a pretty film. I think the lighting was pretty, and she looked like a Hitchcock blonde, and it kind of reminded me of, you're right, Dementia 13.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's
my Hitchcock blonde thing.
Yeah. I liked it. I mean, it wasn't gory or again, you're right. I think maybe it's not really a horror film. It might be more of an art film, but I thought it was interesting to watch. It's well done cinematically, I think.
I did notice her eyelashes too, Karen.
I thought you might. I was going to bring it up now that I've shown you the eyelash thing.
Yes, she had large eyelashes, Karen.
Yeah, she's definitely a Hitchcock blonde. What did you like about it? Anything besides her?
A Hitchcock blonde.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I liked it. I like the artsy fartsy part of it.
Yeah, there were some good shadows. You could tell it.
I liked when she was. I almost made a note of it, but I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna. When she was walking through the pavilion, and it was like she was walking like under some lattice work or something, and there was
Yes.
the light was all little dots of little squares of light streaming through, whereas as she was walking along, and then she stopped in front of the bathhouse sign, and like the painting behind her looked just like
Just
her.
like her. Yeah. There were little touches like that. Yes, I agree. I almost made those notes too, but I didn't because I didn't know if it was important. But yeah, there were definitely some artsy lighting techniques. And yes, right behind her was an old painting that looked just like her.
Makeup was simple, but I thought it was effective on the
Cool.
goals. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. And her.
You could tell it was an independent, horror film, and they did a good job with it for what they had. I mean, their budget, I think, was like $3,000 or some shit.
I wonder if everybody in it was also a ghoul, to save money. I thought I recognized Mrs.
I tried to
Thomas
make
in
note
there.
of that, but I
thought I recognized the landlady, but I'm not sure. Probably not.
I thought I recognized the creepy neighbor dude at one point as a ghoul.
Because that's what I thought. If they were all dead, they would all end up dancing in the ghoul dance, but I couldn't pinpoint them. That would have been a cool touch, though.
Yeah, so the budget was 33,000, not 3,000. But anything you hated in the film, Karen?
I didn't hate anything in it. You're not going to like it. I didn't think she was a very good actress, actually. I don't think she was good enough to carry a film. I don't,
I had doubts about her for a while, but I came around.
I bet you did. The slimy neighbor was a little over the top. I didn't think anyone was really that good. The priest was priesty, but it was okay, the acting, but I wasn't impressed by that. But I didn't hate any of it. I thought it was very easy to watch, and I actually enjoyed it.
I agree, Karen.
We're a match.
All right, what kind of cocktail rating are we going to give this film?
I might give it a 3. I think
It's definitely a 3, I say.
Yeah, it's a different kind of film. It is more artsy than what we usually do, but I think the audience would actually enjoy it.
I agree. I played around with the 2 for a minute.
We've given some pretty good movies 2s, though.
I know.
If the acting was better, no offense to your Hitchcock blonde, I think it might have been a 2, but it just wasn't that good. She wasn't that good. She wasn't terrible, but
I thought she was all right. She was fine.
She's okay.
You could tell she was troubled.
Yeah, but I think everyone
wishy-washy
played their role so stereotypically, I think, was the issue for me.
All right, comments on the cocktail, Karen?
It's a little tart.
Crash cocktail.
It is a little tart, as you said.
It's a little tart. Lots of vitamin C, though, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Probably good for me.
Of course it is. And I like that you can taste the amaretto in it.
I do love almond amaretto liqueur.
Maybe just a little less sour mix, sweet and sour mix.
Yeah. Not bad. It's tart, like you said. Curious to know where the name comes from.
Yeah, I don't know. But half of them are named these crazy things and we don't know why.
Anything we learned today, Karen?
Oh, so much about organs. More than you ever want to know about pipe organs.
Yes.
A little bit about drag racing and irresponsible youths.
Yep.
We did get to reinforce that Greg does like a Hitchcock blonde.
That's important.
Mm-hmm. The director made a nice cameo. I think if I was directing a film, I'd probably put myself in it somewhere, wouldn't you?
Probably.
Even if I don't have a line, I'd just be in the background. There I am.
Smoking a Marlboro.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good at that.
A little about the 1949 Chevy Fleetline and 1935 Chevy EA Master Deluxe.
True.
We learned that 3 of our listeners are now winners.
Yes, congratulations. Jeremy, Denise, and Courtney. Thanks for listening. Actually, thanks for entering.
And we will be sending stickers to everyone who entered, Karen. Is that what we're doing?
If we're feeling generous, are you feeling generous?
Yeah, I am.
You're such a soft touch.
I know. Don't tell anybody, though.
All right, don't worry.
All right, Karen. Next film.
It's your choice. What do you got, Greg?
It is my choice, isn't it?
Did you forget your choice? They're patiently waiting with bated breath. What could it be? What could it be? It's...
So next week, Karen, I have chosen the film The Curse of the Werewolf.
Ooh.
A Hammer horror film, Karen.
Why did you choose that?
Because werewolves are cool.
Well, that's true. Got a drink to go with that?
I do, Karen. The drink I have chosen is the Gladiator Blood and Sand cocktail.
Wow. And that goes with the werewolf movie?
Yes, it does, Karen.
Okay.
Will all be explained next episode.
Excellent.
All makes sense next week.
Sure it will.
Would you like to know what we need for that cocktail, Karen?
Of course. What do we need?
We're going to need some amaretto liqueur,
Ooh, okay.
some peach liqueur,
Excellent. 2 for 2.
some orange juice,
Okay.
and some lemon lime soda, such as Sprite.
Wow. So that one's going to be sweet instead of sour.
I didn't even know it was that similar to this drink when I chose it. But it is, apparently. Which I ain't mad. I like my amaretto liqueur and my Sprite. Anyone you need to thank this week, Karen?
Well, as always, we need to thank all the listeners. Thanks for choosing us. We know there's a lot of podcasts out there.
Yes, we know we have more than one now because multiple people entered the contest.
Well, let's not get too excited. We'll get big egos. We'll have to record our sessions separately, which would be really hard to do.
That would be hard, Karen.
Who do you need to thank, Greg?
Karen, I once again need to thank the band Verse 13 for providing all the music in the Scary Spirits podcast.
Music does make the podcast better.
Yes. Anything else, Karen?
Congratulations to all our winners out there.
Yes, congratulations.
And please drink responsibly.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to the Scary Spirits podcast, where the movies might be iffy, but the drinks are always solid. We would love to hear from you. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Scary Spirits Podcast, or go to our website, scaryspirits.com. And if you want the direct line, email us at info@scaryspirits.com. If you really want to help us out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And remember, always drink responsibly. See you next week.